The year was 2235, and humanity was still healing from the scars of the Great Planetary War. In the depths of space beyond the orbit of the primary planet in the Zeta system, the warship Aurora drifted like a sleeping giant among the stars. She was the pride of the Earth Alliance, a testament to human engineering and determination, though few knew the true extent of her capabilities. Captain Ray Santos stood on the bridge, his weathered face illuminated by the soft blue glow of the star charts. At 45, he had seen enough conflict to appreciate the value of peace, yet remained ever vigilant for threats that might emerge from the cosmic void. The Aurora was on a routine patrol mission, but in the post-war galaxy, routine was a relative term. Captain Lieutenant Lena Cho called from the sensor station, her voice cutting through the ambient hum of the ship's systems. "I'm detecting an extremely high-intensity scanning signal from Sector 77 Alpha. It's unlike anything in our databases." Ray's jaw tightened as he approached the sensor console. The readings showed energy patterns that defied conventional understanding, sweeping probing beams that seemed to dissect space itself with surgical precision. "How long have they been scanning?" "Approximately 4 minutes, sir. The signal strength suggests they're conducting a comprehensive analysis of everything in this region." Cho paused, her fingers dancing across the holographic interface. "Captain, they're not just looking. They're cataloging ship configurations, weapon signatures, energy outputs." "Red alert," Ray commanded, and the bridge bathed in crimson light. "All hands to battle stations. Engineering, I need a status report on our stealth systems." Chief Engineer Malik Reyes's voice crackled through the comm system. "Stealth grid is operational, Captain. However, if they're scanning at this intensity, our standard cloak might not be sufficient." Ray considered their options. The Aurora possessed experimental technology that Earth's High Command preferred to keep secret, holographic projection systems capable of creating false sensor readings. It was a deception, born of necessity, developed when humanity realized they were not alone in the universe and might not always be the most advanced species they encountered. "Malik, prepare the holographic masking system. I want us to appear as a standard patrol vessel, reduce our apparent mass energy signature and weapon systems by 70%. "Sir, that's still our most advanced frigate configuration. These scanners might..." "Do it." As the Aurora's true capabilities vanished behind layers of holographic deception, Ray felt the familiar weight of command settling on his shoulders. He had used similar tactics during the planetary war, hiding dreadnoughts behind the signatures of transport vessels, turning the tide of battles through misdirection rather than firepower. "Contact approaching from Sector 77 Alpha," announced Lieutenant Commander Sarah Vega from the tactical station. "Single vessel, unknown configuration. Size. Captain, it's massive. At least 3 times our displacement." The main view screen shimmered to life, revealing a ship that seemed more grown than built. Its surface was a mesh of crystalline formations and metallic alloys that pulsed with an inner light. The scanning beam emanated from a series of structures along its hull, each one focusing energy with pinpoint accuracy. "Magnificent," whispered Dr. Elena Vasquez, the ship's xenobiologist who had been summoned to the bridge. "The energy matrix suggests a civilization that's mastered quantum mechanics at a level we're still theorizing about." "Can they detect our true nature through the holograms?" Ray asked. "Unknown, sir. Our projections are holding, but if they scan deep enough..." Malik's voice trailed off, leaving the implications hanging in the recycled air. The alien vessel continued its methodical examination, its beams sweeping across the Aurora's false hull, like the fingers of a cosmic archaeologist uncovering ancient secrets. On the sensor display, Ray watched as energy readings fluctuated wildly, the scanning process more thorough than anything humanity had ever devised. "Captain," Dr. Vasquez said, consulting her tablet, "their scanning methodology suggests they're not just identifying us. They're calculating threat assessment, technological development, even potential tactical responses. This isn't reconnaissance. It's threat evaluation." Minutes stretched like hours as the scan continued. Ray could feel the tension on the bridge, each crew member aware that their lives depended on a shell of sophisticated lies. The holographic systems hummed with increasing strain, projecting false readings to mask plasma conduits that could power entire cities' weapons, that could crack moons and defenses that had never been tested in actual combat. Sir Cho reported, "They're switching to deep structure scans. Penetration depth increasing. At this rate, they'll start seeing through our projections in approximately 6 minutes." Ray's mind raced. Direct confrontation was suicide. The alien ship's size alone suggested firepower that could overwhelm the Aurora. But surrender might mean death for his crew and intelligence about Earth's capabilities reaching hostile hands. "Prepare a communication package," he ordered. "Standard first contact protocols. Peaceful intentions, desire for diplomatic exchange." Captain Vega interrupted. "I'm detecting power buildups in their weapon systems. Multiple targeting arrays coming online." The ship's AI, codenamed Oracle, spoke in its characteristic neutral tone. "Analysis suggests hostile intent probability at 67% and climbing. Recommend evasive maneuvers." Ray gripped the command chair's armrests. "Not yet. Malik's status on those projections?" "Holding for now, but they're adapting. Whatever they're using to scan us is learning, evolving in real time to penetrate our deception." On the screen, the alien vessel moved closer, its crystalline formations shifting and reconfiguring. New scanning arrays emerged from its hull, like mechanical flowers blooming in space. The beams intensified, and warning indicators flashed across every console on the bridge. "Holographic integrity at 83%, Malik reported, strain evident in his voice. "If they maintain this intensity, we'll be exposed within minutes." Ray made the decision that would define not just this encounter, but humanity's future relationship with galactic civilization. "All hands prepare for revelation protocol. Malik, on my mark, drop the holograms and activate full stealth mode. Weapon systems online, but do not target. We're going to show them exactly what they're dealing with." "Sir, are you certain once we reveal our true capabilities?" "The masquerade ends now, do it." The holographic projections collapsed, like a house of cards revealing the Aurora in all her deadly glory. The ship was larger than it had appeared, her hull gleaming with an almost organic sheen, created by advanced metamaterials. Weapon ports opened, like the eyes of a predator, and the stealth field activated, bending light and sensor waves around the ship until she became little more than a ghost in space. But the most startling revelation was the Aurora's true power signature. Energy readings spiked dramatically as fusion reactors came online, antimatter containment fields stabilized, and exotic matter drives hummed with barely contained forces that could split atoms or birth stars. The change in the alien vessel was immediate and profound. The scanning beams ceased, crystalline formations retracted, and the ship's approach vector altered sharply. What had been a methodical advance became a hasty retreat, energy signatures fluctuating wildly as systems that had been powering down suddenly roared back to life. "They're pulling back," Vega announced, surprise coloring her voice. "Distance increasing rapidly. Captain, they're not just withdrawing, they're running." Dr. Vasquez looked up from her console, eyes wide. "The quantum resonance patterns. They're broadcasting to their fleet. A warning signal." "Fleet," Ray demanded. "At least 12 vessels holding position at the edge of the system. They're already beginning to withdraw." She paused, analyzing the data streaming across her screens. "Captain, whatever they saw when we dropped the holograms, it terrified them." Ray felt a chill run down his spine. The Aurora was powerful, certainly, but against a fleet of ships with advanced scanning capabilities. What exactly did they see? Malik's voice came from engineering, vibrating with excitement and concern. "Sir, I think I know. When we dropped the holograms and activated the stealth field, they got a clear reading of our quantum signature. Our gravitational manipulation system, the antimatter catalyst, the exotic matter containment to them, it must have looked like what Malik, like a ship that shouldn't exist. The technology required to build the Aurora represents multiple theoretical breakthroughs they clearly haven't achieved. From their perspective, we didn't just reveal a warship, We revealed a technological paradigm they can't match. The implications hit Ray like a physical blow. Humanity had spent generations believing themselves to be alone, then learning they were not the only spacefaring species, then discovering they were among the youngest. But the aurora represented something else, entirely leaps in theoretical physics that even ancient civilizations hadn't mastered. Communications, any response to our peaceful overtures? Negative, sir. They're maintaining complete radio silence while continuing their retreat. Ray watched as the massive alien vessel disappeared into the darkness between stars, its escorts following like a school of fish fleeing a shark. The bridge fell silent, except for the steady thrum of the ship's systems and the occasional beep of sensor arrays tracking the alien's departure. "Stand down from red alert," Ray commanded. "Secure all systems and plot a course for Earth. I think the Alliance needs to hear about this." Dr. Vasquez approached his chair, her expression troubled. "Captain, may I speak freely?" "Always, Doctor." Those beings, the Solari, according to the linguistic analysis of their quantum broadcasts, they've been spacefaring for millennia. Their technology is sophisticated, their methods precise. Yet, when they saw what we truly are, they didn't attempt communication negotiation or even a show of force. "What's your point?" "They ran, sir. A species that's clearly established in this region of space with advantages in numbers and experience took one look at us and decided that survival meant immediate retreat." She paused, choosing her words carefully. "What does that tell us about how dangerous they consider humanity to be?" The question hung in the air as the Aurora began its journey home. Ray had led men into battle before, had seen the face of war in all its forms, but this felt different. Humanity had emerged from the shadows of galactic civilization, not as a junior species seeking acceptance, but as something else entirely, a potential threat to the established order. "Oracle," Ray called to the ship's AI. "Begin comprehensive analysis of the encounter. I want full tactical assessments, technological comparisons, and strategic implications prepared for the Alliance Council." Acknowledged. Initial analysis suggests several concerning factors regarding our technological development in relation to galactic standard norms. Explain. The Silari scanning patterns indicate they were conducting standard threat assessment protocols, likely used across thousands of encounters with various species. Their hasty withdrawal suggests our technology profile exceeds parameters for any classification in their database. Dr. Vasquez nodded gravely. "In other words, we're not just different, we're unprecedented." As the days passed during the return journey to Earth, Ray found himself grappling with questions that had no easy answers. The Aurora's crew had performed flawlessly, the ship's systems had exceeded expectations, and they had successfully defended themselves without firing a shot. Yet something felt deeply wrong about the entire encounter. The holographic deception had been Ray's idea, born from his experience in the planetary war, where survival often depended on appearing weaker than you were. But against the Silari, the deception had almost worked too well. They had scanned what they believed to be a moderately advanced frigate and found it acceptable, manageable, non-threatening. When the truth was revealed, their reaction suggested they had discovered something far beyond their ability to comprehend or confront. Captain Lieutenant Cho announced, as Earth's solar system appeared on long-range sensors, incoming priority transmission from Alliance Command. Admiral Sarah Chen's face appeared on the main screen, her expression as stern as always. "Captain Santos, your preliminary report has caused quite a stir. The Council demands a full briefing immediately upon your arrival." "Understood, Admiral. I should warn you the implications of this encounter extend far beyond a simple first contact situation." "Elaborate." Ray chose his words carefully. "We may have revealed more about humanity's capabilities than intended. The aliens' reaction suggests they perceive us as a significant threat, not a potential ally." Admiral Chen frowned. "Your report mentioned they retreated after you dropped the holographic camouflage. What exactly did they see?" "The Aurora, as she truly is, Admiral, And apparently that was enough to send a fleet into retreat. The transmission ended, leaving Ray to prepare for what he knew would be one of the most important debriefings in human history. As the Aurora approached Earth's orbital stations, he could see the familiar blue marble that had given birth to a species now scattered among the stars. It looked peaceful from this distance, but Ray knew that peace was about to be shattered by the knowledge he carried. Landing at Luna Station, Ray was immediately escorted to the Alliance Council chambers. The room was a testament to human architectural achievement, its domed ceiling displaying a real-time map of human colonial expansion. Around a crescent-shaped table sat the most powerful individuals in human space: military commanders, scientific directors, and political leaders who had guided humanity through its expansion into the galaxy. Captain Santos greeted Counselor Marcus Webb, the Alliance's civilian leader. "Your report raises concerns about our current diplomatic posture. Please provide a complete account of the encounter." Ray stood at attention, then began his narrative detailing every moment from the initial detection of the scanning signals to the Silari fleet's retreat. He described the aliens' methodical approach, their advanced scanning technology, and most importantly, their reaction upon seeing the Aurora's true capabilities. "You're telling us," interrupted Admiral Chen, "that these aliens, clearly more experienced in interstellar affairs than we, are fled upon, seeing a single human warship." "Not just fled, Admiral. They broadcast warnings to their entire fleet. According to our linguistic analysis, the transmission contained what Dr. Vasquez identified as urgent threat-level advisories." Counselor Webb leaned forward. What threat could a single ship pose to an established interstellar civilization? Dr. Vasquez, who had accompanied Ray to the briefing, activated a holographic display showing the quantum signatures detected during the encounter. The Silari scanning technology appears designed to catalog and assess species based on standardized technological benchmarks. When they scanned the Aurora while she was disguised, they saw what they expected: a ship within normal parameters for a developing spacefaring civilization. "And when the disguise was dropped?" asked Dr. Patricia Hawthorne, Director of Advanced Research. "They saw technology that shouldn't exist," Ray answered. "Our gravitational manipulation drives exotic matter containment systems, quantum stealth capabilities. According to their scans, we had achieved breakthroughs that even they, with millennia of spacefaring experience, haven't mastered." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity had always assumed that any aliens they encountered would be more advanced, more experienced, possessing wisdom gained from eons among the stars. The possibility that humanity might be the technologically superior species had never seriously been considered. "Captain," Admiral Chen said finally, "you use the holographic projection system against direct orders. That technology was classified above your clearance level." "With respect, Admiral, the situation called for improvisation. The alternative was potential destruction of the Aurora and the revelation of Earth's location to a potentially hostile force." Counselor Webb intervened. "The captain's actions likely prevented a massacre. However, we now face a different problem. We've essentially announced to the galaxy that humanity possesses technologies that established civilizations find threatening." Dr. Hawthorne activated another display, this one showing theoretical technology trees. "If I may, the Aurora represents convergent breakthroughs in multiple fields that we achieved relatively quickly due to the pressures of the planetary war. What took us decades of concentrated effort might have taken other species centuries or millennia to develop separately." "Are you suggesting we're somehow naturally superior?" asked Counselor Webb. "Not superior," Dr. Hawthorne replied. "Different. Our development path was shaped by global warfare resource scarcity and the need for rapid technological advancement. We developed tools of war that doubled as tools of exploration. Most peaceful civilizations wouldn't have the same pressure to create ships like the Aurora." Ray realized the doctor was right. The Aurora and ships like her were products of humanity's darkest period, when the planetary war had pushed technological development to its limits. The gravitational drives had been designed to move battle fleets quickly across solar systems. The exotic matter systems had been developed to power weapons capable of cracking planet-sized fortresses. Even the quantum stealth technology had originated from military needs. "What are you recommending, Captain Santos?" Counselor Webb asked. Ray stood straighter, feeling the weight of his next words. "We need to prepare for the possibility that the Silari or other species might view us as a threat to be eliminated. My recommendation is to accelerate our colonization efforts, disperse our population and technology, and develop true interstellar capabilities. And if they come in force, then we show them that Earth's children are not easily conquered." Admiral Chen nodded slowly. "The captain raises valid points. However, I'm more concerned about our immediate diplomatic situation. We now know at least one alien civilization exists, and they know about us. We need protocols for contact, not just with the Silari, but with others we're bound to encounter." Dr. Hawthorne interjected, "If I may, we should also consider the possibility that the Silari's reaction wasn't fear, but respect. Their withdrawal could be interpreted as giving us space to develop without interference. Or it could be them regrouping for an attack," Ray countered. "Admiral, with your permission, I'd like to recommend the establishment of a deep space monitoring network. If they return, we need to know." "Approved. What else?" Ray had been thinking about this moment since leaving the Zeta system. "I recommend we stop pretending to be less than we are. The Aurora's stealth capabilities kept us hidden, but the Silari still detected us. If word spreads about our technology, we'll face more such encounters. We need to be ready." Counselor Webb frowned. "You're suggesting we abandon the diplomatic approach?" "I'm suggesting we negotiate from a position of strength, rather than hiding behind holograms. The masquerade worked this time, but it was luck as much as skill. Next time, we might not be so fortunate." The debate continued for hours, with various council members proposing different approaches to humanity's new galactic situation. Some advocated for isolationism, others for aggressive expansion, still others for attempts at peaceful contact with the Silari and other species. Finally, Admiral Chen called for order. "Gentlemen, ladies, we face an unprecedented situation. Captain Santos has provided valuable intelligence, but we need more information before making strategic decisions. I'm authorizing Operation Deepwatch, a network of monitoring stations at key points beyond our current territory. Additionally, all ships of Aurora class and above will be equipped with the latest stealth and defensive systems." "What about contact protocols?" asked Dr. Hawthorne. "We'll develop them, but cautiously. The next time we meet the Silari or others, we'll be prepared for any eventuality." Ray felt a measure of relief. The Alliance was taking the threat seriously, but not abandoning diplomacy entirely. As the meeting concluded, and he was dismissed, he couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning. Months passed as Ray returned to regular duties, but his mind often drifted to the Silari vessel and what it represented. Reports filtered in from the deep space monitoring stations, occasional signals suggesting ship movements in distant systems, but nothing approaching human space. Then, nearly a year after the encounter, the Aurora received new orders. They were to take on a special cargo and crew scientists, diplomats, and engineers, and return to the Zeta system. The Alliance had decided it was time for humanity to take the next step. "Captain," Dr. Vasquez said as they approached the coordinates where they had first encountered the Silari, "Sensors are detecting something." "Another ship?" "No, sir. A beacon. It's broadcasting on quantum frequencies we've seen before." The main screen displayed a small, crystalline structure floating in space where the Silari fleet had been. As the Aurora approached the beacon, began transmitting a complex signal that their computers immediately began analyzing. "It's a message," announced Lieutenant Cho after several minutes. "The linguistic matrix matches Silari patterns we recorded during the first encounter." "What does it say?" Dr. Vasquez looked up from her translation algorithms, surprise evident in her voice. "It's an invitation, Captain. They're requesting a meeting at neutral coordinates. They want to talk." Ray felt a smile tug at the corners of his mouth. Perhaps the Solari's retreat hadn't been driven by fear alone. Maybe, just maybe, the universe was ready for humanity to take its place among the stars, not as conquerors or victims, but as equals. "Set a course for the specified coordinates," he ordered. "Let's see what our crystalline friends have to say." As the Aurora changed course toward what might be humanity's first official diplomatic contact with an alien civilization, Ray reflected on the journey that had brought them here. From a species recovering from global war to potentially joining a galactic community, it was a transformation that would have seemed impossible just a few years ago. The beacon continued to pulse behind them, a lighthouse in the cosmic dark, guiding two civilizations toward an uncertain but potentially magnificent future. Whatever came next, humanity would face it with open eyes, and if necessary, the full might of ships like the Aurora, standing ready to defend the species that had dared to reach for the stars. The quantum distortion signature of the meeting point appeared on their sensors as the Aurora approached. What they found there was beyond anything they had imagined, a massive structure that seemed to exist partially in normal space and partially in some other dimension, its surfaces shifting between solid matter and pure energy. And waiting for them were not just the Silari, but representatives of dozens of species, each more alien than the last. Humanity, it seemed, was about to be inducted into something far greater than they had ever imagined possible. Ray squared his shoulders and prepared to represent his species in discussions that would shape the future of human civilization. The age of hiding in the shadows was over. The age of humanity among the stars had begun. As the Aurora docked with the impossible structure, Ray couldn't help but think that sometimes the best way to avoid being seen as a threat was to prove you were strong enough to be a friend. The masquerade had ended, but perhaps the real story of humanity's place in the universe was just beginning. The airlock cycles completed, and Ray, accompanied by his senior officers and the diplomatic team, stepped across the threshold into a new chapter of human history. Behind them, the Aurora waited patiently, her true nature no longer hidden behind holograms and deception. They had scanned Earth's warship and thought themselves doomed. Instead, they had discovered something far more valuable, a species ready to stand as equals in the cosmic community, powerful enough to defend themselves, but wise enough to choose cooperation over conquest. The galaxy would never be the same,